Hi, welcome to another Movement Monday. I mentioned in another video real briefly about how sitting for long periods of time, particularly at a desk or maybe if you're in a car for a long period of time, that activity can make your hip flexors pretty tight. So today I wanted to go over a couple of stretches or mobility movements so that you can get a little bit more comfortable in your day-to-day movements. When you have tightness in your hips, that does affect your lower back. It also could affect your knees. So by loosening your hip flexors, that will help you improve your overall quality of life. So let's go ahead and get started. The first exercise is the butterfly stretch. So with a butterfly stretch, you probably remember in elementary school, in PE, the teacher would have you get down on the floor, put the soles of your feet together and push them down. So we're gonna go through that. First thing is lean up against either a wall or some kind of surface that will support your back. You want to keep your back straight. Bring the soles of your feet together and as close to your body as possible. Now, if they have to be a little further out until you get more flexibility in your thighs, that's 100% okay. We're not striving for perfection. We're just trying to get so that you can start getting mobile. So bring your feet together, keep your back straight and flat against the wall, and then move your knees down towards the floor. Now, some people will start here just because your thighs and your hip flexors are so tight, and that's okay. Wherever your starting point is, that's fine. So we'll start with your knees out to the side and then just relax. And it sounds kind of counterintuitive to say relax when your muscles are really tight and you don't feel comfortable at all, but we're going to try our best. And as you feel that tightness, you just want to breathe through the action. Just try to relax as much as you can. And if you need to, you can start to press down on your knees towards the floor, and you'll notice that you'll get a little bit further to the floor. Some people will also put weights on their knees to kind of help push that down. You don't want to be too forceful. You never want to hurt your body or push it in a way that's uncomfortable. There will be some tension, but it should never be painful. So as you're pressing, you press as far as you can, as far as uncomfortably comfortable as possible. And you'll notice after a few minutes, your knees may be touching the floor. And then you just want to hold that. Now, I always say that it's good to hold a stretch for at least a minute. As long as it's at least 30 seconds, that's great. But what happens to your body after a minute is that the stretch reflexes start to subside. It's your body protective mechanism. As soon as your body feels like it's getting a little overly stretched, your body will fight back. Gently stretching your muscles past that 30-second or minute mark, it lets your body know that it's okay. We're just trying to stretch and relax. So this is the first movement, the butterfly stretch. Another thing you can do while your back is nice and flat is to pull your shoulders back and get a little bit more of a chest stretch. The next stretch we're going to do is the low lunge. There's a couple of different ways that you can perform this exercise or stretch. So I'll show you some varieties and you can choose whichever is best for you. Get into the stretch. You want to get down on one knee, keep that at a 90-degree angle roughly, and then your front knee will also be at a 90-degree angle. The leg, which has the knee that's on the floor, this is the hip flexor that we'll be stretching. Keep your abs tight and then slightly push your hips forward. And so by pushing this hip forward, you'll stretch the muscles on the front of your hip. If you let your stomach get loose and push it out, you'll feel that you have to move a little bit more to get that stretch. Keep your back nice and high. Keep your abs tight. And then you just really, all you have to do, it's such a slight movement, all you really have to do is just move that hip forward and you'll get a nice stretch there. Now, if you feel that this is as much as you can stretch and you need a little bit more of a stretch, you can use a wall or a sofa. Some people, especially if they find that the floor is a little uncomfortable, you can either put a pillow under your knee or you can get on your couch and use the couch pillows to protect your knee, and then use the back of the couch to put your leg against. So then same thing, you move your other leg up to a 90-degree angle. Sometimes it's hard to balance. And it doesn't have to be flush against your calf here. The more tight you are, the more difficult it's going to be to come back like this. So come out a little further, balance your way up, and then you'll start to feel the stretch in your hip flexor. And then again, abs tight. And in this position, you really don't have to push your hip forward. You get a pretty good stretch with it here, just like this. So that's another option. Now, if you do want to stay in the lunge position without stretching your hip flexor against a wall or a sofa or box, you can do the lunge with your leg a little bit more extended behind you. And then raise your hands up. And those who are familiar with yoga, this is a low lunge in yoga. And by raising your arms above your head and stretching out a little more forward with more of a lengthening in that back leg, you'll feel a stretch. And you can tilt to the side. And even at the first stretch that I demonstrated, where both legs are in 90-degree angles, you can also tilt to the side to get a good stretch as well. And again, remember to keep your abs nice and tight. And with this movement, you can clasp your hands together, prayer position, and slowly arch your back towards the wall behind you. And that will also stretch your hip flexor. And also you'll feel a nice stretch in your chest. Working at a desk all day, your chest muscles are shortened, and they will start to give you that hunchback. And so we want to make sure that we stretch our chest. And if you look at my arms, they're kind of bent. And that is not because that's what you're supposed to do. That's because my chest muscles are so short. So you have to push to get that good stretch. And it's a bit uncomfortable, and you just need to do a little bit, not too much. And then slowly come up. And then of course, do the other side because you don't want to be imbalanced. All right, so the next exercise we're going to do in yoga, it's called the thunderbolt. I know around Christmas time, I noticed this was a really challenging for me to do, sitting around the Christmas tree or just playing with kids. Your hip flexors are super tight. It gets more challenging to sit on, basically you're sitting on your calves with your feet together. And back straight. This is called the thunderbolt pose in yoga. And ideally, you just want to sit there, relaxed, and just breathing and focusing. But when your hip flexors are really tight, I can feel my calves tightening. Sitting on them is just really uncomfortable. I can feel myself wanting to fold forward. So the way to combat that would be to get a foam roller, a pillow, maybe a medicine ball, yoga blocks. Yoga blocks are nice because you can either sit on them like this, high, or then you can put them down low once you start to get that flexibility. So when you are sitting on something, whether it's a pillow, yoga block, whatever, you'll separate your legs and sit on the cushion or whatever. And then you'll find it's easier to roll your shoulders back. Shoulders are back. And it's not so difficult. It doesn't feel so uncomfortable. And you can really start to relax. So I'd say after a minute, if it feels like you are feeling a little bit more relief, then get something that's a little bit lower. And then sit on it that way. Now this feels weird for me, so I know that I need to do some more stretching, but ideally you want to be able to sit back comfortably. So that is Thunderbolt. The last exercise we will do, not really an exercise, it's really a posture. And if you've been overseas, particularly I noticed this in Asia, it's very common to sit in a squatting position. That's something that we don't do in the United States. And with a lot of our work being done in the office, it makes our hip flexors almost impossible. But super important for your mobility. Apparently you're supposed to give birth while squatting, you're supposed to poop while squatting. Like squatting is supposed to be a very natural position for humans, and we don't do it. So a couple of things that you can do to start to get comfortable in a squatting position is you can find, I'm gonna go over to this machine over here. So what you'll do is deep squat. So you can get a chair, a table leg, anything. You can use whatever surface you decide to hold yourself up. Your body starts to relax, and then it's a little bit less challenging to keep yourself up. Another method you can use to help balance yourself when doing a squat is using the TRX bands. So bands, straps, I guess they're straps. If you have access to a gym or anything like that, this is really helpful to counterbalance as you do the squat. I do body weight squats with this. I have clients that are not comfortable doing squats all the way. They can do squats using the TRX. So for the deep squat, sink as deeply as you can into that squat. And where I was leaning forward before, I can use the straps to help hold me up. And this is kind of nice too, because it'll allow you to work the muscles around your shoulder blades by pulling yourself forward and holding yourself up. Now, when we work at a desk all day, we're hunched over and our back muscles are in an extended state, and we need to strengthen our back. So by pulling yourself up in this manner and also squatting, you get a 2-for-1 deal. So you're working on that upper body strength and also the flexibility and mobility in your hips and your knees for the squat. And then you just pull yourself up. A small stool. And then you practice squatting like this. And then of course, go lower. Practice the squat like this. And then eventually, and again, my hip flexors are super tight. I can feel it pulling on my knees. I can't get my, if you look, I can't get my back straight. And that's just because I'm really, really tight. So trying to be able to pull myself back is something that I need to work on. And the really good thing about stretching your hip flexors, ideally you want to do the stretches once, I would say at least once a day if possible. Do them daily. And if you're able to do them daily, you'll notice a big difference in maybe as soon as 2 to 3 weeks. And then you keep it up, and then of course after a few months, then hopefully everything will be perfect. But the challenge is really doing it And that's one of the things that I struggle with, because like we're so used to the rat race and we're so used to going as fast as we can. And stretching can be boring. It's really slow. So just being mindful of taking care of your body, at least after you work out, especially if you're working out or if you're in the office, if you have time in between meetings or you're on a super boring conference call, no one sees you off camera. You take yourself off camera and do some stretches. So that's what I have for now. I'm sure I'll have some other stretches for you to do, but let me know what you think. Let me know if any of this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.